On our anniversary, I braved a torrential downpour to bring Ethan Carter lunch right after he finished surgery, but he was nowhere to be found. Again, I instinctively opened the Instagram profile of the one that got away from his hospital department. Someone's such a knight in shining armor. I said I got a splinter in my finger, and he dropped everything to run over. He's even picking it out and bandaging me himself. Why is such an amazing guy someone else's boyfriend? In the photo, Ethan was leaning down, carefully gripping that barely visible wooden splinter on her fingertip with a pair of surgical forceps. In the warm light, his profile was focused and tender. I couldn't lie to myself any longer. I silently dropped the insulated lunch tote into the trash and sent him a breakup text. His best friend later passed along a message. Ethan says you're just making a mountain out of a molehill. Women throw tantrums. He'll buy you a designer bag and you'll come crawling back. He would never know that what I wanted was never a bag. It was the Alan love I had gambled everything on. Raindrops splattered against my phone screen, blurring everything into a smudge. I stared at that photo on Lily Morgan's feed. Ethan's focused profile, more captivating than he ever was in the operating room. A splinter so tiny you could barely see it, required him, an attending surgeon, to drop everything and race over. So urgent that he couldn't even spare 5 minutes for our 5th anniversary. I could almost picture Lily's pitiful, doe-eyed face as she whined to Ethan, and Ethan, me boyfriend who always said don't be dramatic. I'm busy would have looked at her with nothing but adoration. Something inside me snapped completely in that moment. I stuffed my phone back into my pocket, walked to the curbside trash can, and threw the still warm insulated lunch tote inside without a second thought. The aroma of slow-cooked beef brisket mixed with the metallic smell of rain, creeping up my nose and making my stomach turn. For this meal, I'd booked a hotel room next to his hospital a week in advance, just so he could have a hot bite as soon as he stepped out of surgery. Looking back now, it was the biggest joke of my life. I wiped the rain off my face, pulled out my phone again, and tapped a few times until I found Ethan's text thread. No accusations. No complaints. I typed only 6 words. Ethan, we're breaking up. Then I turned on airplane mode. The world went quiet. I didn't want to hear any of his excuses. I didn't want to see a single question mark from him. 5 years. Every time he made an exception for Lily. Every time he brushed me off with she's just a sister who needs looking after. I chose to believe him. It wasn't because I was stupid. It was because I still loved him. And I was willing to lie to myself for him. But even the warmest heart grows cold eventually. Even the deepest sleeper wakes up if you shake them hard enough. Back in the hotel room, I peeled off my soaking clothes and took a scalding hot shower. The water beat against my skin, but I couldn't feel a single ounce of warmth. I stared at my disheveled reflection in the mirror and suddenly laughed. Vivian Bennett, you've made a complete fool of yourself. You thought you were his safe harbor. But you were just a random dock he pulled into occasionally when he got tired of sailing. Lily was the ocean he wanted to lose himself in. I started packing my things. There wasn't much to pack. Really just a few changes of clothes. Everything else belonged to the hotel. I took off every single thing he'd ever given me. The necklace he bought with his first paycheck. The matching bracelet we'd picked out together. I laid them neatly on the nightstand. I turned off airplane mode. My screen immediately lit up with unread messages. All from Ethan. What now? I'm busy. Don't be dramatic. Vivian, answer the phone. What do you mean? Explain yourself. Reading those cold, detached words, I didn't even feel the urge to reply. He didn't even think he'd done anything wrong. He just thought I was throwing a tantrum. I opened the smart lock mobile app for our apartment, found the guest access code settings, and created a temporary access code that would expire in 24 hours. I sent it to him again, along with my breakup message. I'm coming back to pack my things at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Here's the temporary code. We're done. After that, I blocked all his contact, Instagram, phone number, everything. I was afraid that if I looked at his name one more time, I'd soften. And this time, I wasn't giving myself any way out. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, and didn't sleep a wink all night. Tomorrow would be a new day, a day without Ethan Carter. I showed up at our front door at exactly 9:50 a.m. the next morning, our old home. I didn't use my fingerprint. I typed in the temporary code. The door clicked open. In the entryway, Ethan's leather shoes were tossed carelessly on the floor, right next to the pair of slippers I'd always kept neatly arranged for him. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. And yet, nothing was the same. The living room was empty. The bedroom door was closed tight. I didn't want to see him. I just wanted to grab my things and get out of this suffocating place as fast as possible. I dragged several large suitcases out of the storage closet and started packing in style. NCE. My clothes, my books, my makeup, everything that bore my mark. I stuffed into the suitcases without leaving a single thing behind. Halfway through, the bedroom door opened. Ethan walked out in his pajamas, his hair a messy bird's nest. When he saw the open suitcases spread across the living room and me crouched on the floor packing, his face darkened instantly. Vivian, what the hell are you doing? I didn't look up. I kept shoving a stack of books into the suitcase, my voice as calm as if I were talking about the weather. Moving out. We broke up. I told you. Ethan strode over, snatched the book out of my hand, and threw it on the floor. Told me, Vivian, you think sending a single text saying we're breaking up counts as telling me? Did I agree to this? His voice was rough from sleep and crackling with barely contained anger. I finally looked up and stared directly at him. His eyes were bloodshot, and stubble had sprouted on his chin. He looked exhausted, but I felt nothing, not even a twinge of pity. Ethan, this isn't a request for your permission. This is a fact that's already happened. A fact. He laughed like he'd just heard the most ridiculous thing in the world. Just because I didn't spend our anniversary with you. Vivian, when did you become so unreasonable? I've told you 100 times. My job is busy. I have back-to-back surgeries. It's not that I don't want to be with you, I just can't spare the time. Time is like water in a sponge. You can always squeeze some out if you try. I picked up the book from the floor and brushed off the dust. You're not out of time. You're just out of time for me. You had plenty of time to pick a splinter out of Lily's finger. He froze, the anger on his face instantly turned to shock and guilt. How did you find out? The only way to keep a secret is to never tell anyone, or in your case, never let your sister post it all over Instagram. I zipped up one suitcase and stood it upright. Yesterday was our 5th anniversary. I made your favorite slow-cooked beef brisket and waited for you in the rain outside the hospital for an hour. And you were being the perfect gentleman, tending to you're the one that got a waste life-threatening splinter. Ethan, does that seem fair to you? His face shifted through a dozen emotions: guilt, shame, and finally, defensive anger, over something this trivial. Vivian, is this really necessary? Lily's all alone in Rivertown with no family to rely on. She's clumsy and scatterbrained. As her senior physician colleague, what's wrong with me looking out for her a little? She got a splinter. Who else was she supposed to call but a doctor? Can you stop being so petty? Petty. I laughed bitterly. Ethan, be honest with yourself. Is this the first time? She had a stomachache in the middle of the night, and you drove across the entire city to bring her medicine. Her computer broke, and you left dinner with my parents to go fix it. She said she wanted to go to a concert, and you stayed up all night lining up for tickets, then told me you had to work a shift. Every single time. You said she was just a sister. Every single time. You called me petty and unreasonable. Fine. You were right. I was petty. I was unreasonable. But not anymore. Now I'm doing us both a favor. I'm giving you back all your time. I'm giving you back yourself. She can have it all. Isn't that what you want? Every word I said hit him like a hammer to the chest. He opened his mouth, but couldn't say a single word in defense. They were all things he'd done, things he'd thought I didn't know, or didn't care about. He looked at me, his voice softening as he tried to reach for my hand. Viv, I admit I messed up. I neglected your feelings. Just stop being mad. Okay, let's talk about this properly. Don't throw away 5 years over a stupid fight. I pulled my hand away and stepped back, putting distance between us. Ethan, do you know what the funniest part is? You still think I'm just mad. You think this is like all the other times I throw a fit. You sweet-talk me, buy me a present, and everything goes back to normal. I shook my head, looking at the man I'd loved for 5 years and suddenly feeling like I didn't know him at all. This time is different. I'm not mad. I'm done. I'm tired. Tired of guessing whether your surgeries are real or excuses. Tired of seeing how amazing my boyfriend is on someone else's Instagram. I'm setting you free. And I'm setting myself free too. Without another glance, I grabbed my packed suitcase and headed for the door. Vivian. He grabbed my wrist from behind. His grip so tight it hurt. If you walk out that door right now, we're really done forever. I didn't turn around. My voice was ice cold. We've been done since yesterday. I wrenched my wrist free, opened the door, and walked out without looking back. Behind me, I heard him roar in anger, but I didn't slow down for a second. As the elevator doors closed, I saw him still standing in the doorway, his face a mask of disbelief. I dragged 3 heavy suitcases to the front of the residential community and hailed a U-Haul. The driver helped me load the boxes into the truck and asked where I was going. I gave him the address of the furnished short-term apartment I'd found weeks earlier. As the truck pulled away, I watched the street signs blur past the window. The neighborhood I'd called home for 5 years grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared entirely. I didn't cry. I just felt a huge, empty hole in my chest. My new place was a 400-square-foot one-bedroom apartment. Small, but clean and bright. I took everything out of the suitcases and arranged it neatly. I did it all on autopilot, my mind completely blank. Like a robot with no emotions. Only when everything was put away and I collapsed onto the couch did exhaustion and heartache crash over me like a tidal wave. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated for a second, then answered. The voice on the other end was familiar and infuriating. Hello, Vivian. It's Zach. Zach Miller, Ethan's best friend, and one of the few people who'd watched our entire relationship unfold. What do you want? My voice was cold. Zach chuckled awkwardly. Vivian. What's going on with you and Ethan? He called me today sounding like a lost puppy. It's just a fight, right? You don't have to move out over it. Zach, we're not fighting. We broke up. I said each word slowly and clearly. Broke up. Don't be ridiculous. Zach sounded completely dismissive. Ethan told me everything. So he missed your anniversary. Big deal. He says he knows he messed up. He just wants you to stop being dramatic. And honestly, he's right. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. All women throw tantrums sometimes. He'll buy you that new designer bag you've been eyeing. And this'll all blow over. A designer bag. I almost laughed out loud. So that's all it was to them. My heartbreak. My disappointment. My resolve, all just making a mountain out of a molehill. Something that could be fixed with a handbag. All my love, all my devotion, was worth exactly the price of a luxury bag. Zach. Tell him something for me. My voice was colder than ice. Tell him I never wanted a bag. I wanted Alan love and exclusive devotion. He couldn't give me that, but Lily can. And as for comforting me, when my love for him died, he lost the right to even try. Hey, Vivian. That's not fair. I hung up before he could finish. Then I opened the food delivery app and ordered a spicy Cajun stir-fry bowl with extra hot sauce. I wanted something sharp and burning to wash away the bitter taste in my mouth. After eating, my phone rang again. It was Mom. My stomach dropped. I knew Ethan had already called her to tell his side of the story. Vivian, what's going on with you and Ethan? He called me today almost in tears. Said you broke up with him and moved out. You two were doing so well. What happened? Mom's voice was full of worry. Mom, we broke up. Broke up. Why? Did Ethan do something to upset you? Tell me. I'll give him a piece of my mind. Couples fight all the time. You just need to talk it out. Don't throw away a good relationship over nothing. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. Mom. It's not a fight. He doesn't love me anymore. I can't live like that. Nonsense. Ethan's so good to you. Our whole family can see it. He has such a great job. He's ambitious. And he's so respectful to us. Don't be stupid. Vivian, go back home right now and apologize to him. Apologize. For what? A wave of exhaustion washed over me. So in everyone's eyes, I was the one in the wrong. I was the unreasonable one. The dramatic one. The petty one. Ethan's success was enough to justify treating me like an afterthought. Mom. Please don't interfere. I know what I'm doing. I didn't bother explaining anymore. I knew it wouldn't make a difference. You're being so stubborn. Mom snapped at me over the phone. Just then, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and my heart skipped a beat. It was Ethan. He'd found me. How did he know where I lived? Then it hit me. The real estate agent for this short-term apartment was a friend we both knew. I didn't open the door. I didn't make a sound. I just stood there, pressed against the wood, listening. The doorbell rang again and again, relentless. Like it was drilling into my skull. Vivian, open the door. I know you're in there. We need to talk. Ethan's voice came through the door, sharp with impatience and irritation. Talk. What was there left to talk about? Repeat everything we'd already said yesterday. And the day before that. And the day before that. I leaned against the door and closed my eyes. The whole world seemed to spin. Vivian, if you don't open this door, I'll kick it down. His voice rose, now clearly threatening. I laughed bitterly. This was his idea of talking. I pulled the door open and stared at him coldly. He was standing there, his hair even messier than it had been that morning, his bloodshot eyes even worse. When he saw me, he seemed to relax slightly and reached out to grab my arm. Let's go inside and talk. I stepped aside, blocking his path. I had no intention of letting him in. We'll talk right here. I have nothing to say to you inside. And when we're done, you leave immediately. My coldness and distance infuriated him completely. The last trace of softness vanished from his face, replaced by pure, unadulterated anger. Vivian, do you really have to do this? I'm here begging you to take me back. And you're acting like this. You're going to throw away 5 years of our lives over one stupid little thing. I'm not the one who threw it away. Ethan, you are. I looked him dead in the eye. Our relationship died the first time you ran to Lily instead of me. And you've been killing it a little more every day since then, begging me. That's not begging. That's just you being mad that your doormat finally stood up for herself. Mad that the girl who always cleaned up your messes and forgave you for everything suddenly isn't under your control anymore. Doormat. He looked like he couldn't believe his ears. His face twisted with hurt. That's what you think I see you as? I watched him perform, my heart completely numb. Isn't it? Ethan, can you honestly say you love me? You love the girl who does everything you say, the girl who worships the ground you walk on, the girl who lets you play hero to Lily every day and still comes home to a warm dinner and a clean house. You don't love Vivian Bennett. You love what I do for you. My words cut through him like a knife, leaving him speechless. He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing for a long time before he finally managed to say, "That's not true, Viv. You're different from her. You know that." "You're right. We are different." I nodded. "I'm the girlfriend you talk about. She's the lingering obsession you carry in your heart. I was the daily bread, and she was the fix. You need bread every day, but you get tired of it. You don't need the fix every day, but you can't live without it. Ethan, I don't want to be your bread anymore. I want to be someone's everything." Just then, Ethan's phone rang at the worst possible moment. He pulled it out instinctively. When the screen lit up, I saw the caller ID clearly. Lily. That sickeningly sweet nickname burned into my eyes like a red-hot needle. Ethan froze. He held the phone, frozen between answering and hanging up, his face bright red with embarrassment. I suddenly laughed until tears came to my eyes. "Looks like your fix is calling. Probably something terrible again. Maybe she stubbed her toe, or her Wi-Fi went out. She needs her hero to save her. Go on, don't keep her waiting. AF. Turl. She's so alone in Rivertown with no family to rely on and clumsy and scatterbrained. Whatever would she do without you?" I emphasized every word he'd used to defend her. Ethan's face turned bright red, then pale. He looked at the phone in his hand, then back at me, his eyes full of conflict. "Why don't you answer it?" I challenged him, afraid I'll hear something, or afraid she'll find out you're here begging your dramatic ex-girlfriend to take you back. "Vivian, stop being unreasonable," he finally snapped, yelling at me before pressing the answer button and covering the microphone with his hand. "I'm busy right now. I'll call you later." He hung up quickly and looked back at me, his eyes full of exhaustion and disappointment. "Do you really have to make this so hard? You weren't like this before." No, I wasn't. I looked at him calmly. The old Vivian would have walked away when that phone rang. She would have pretended she didn't see anything. She would have made excuses for you. But that Vivian died yesterday in that rainstorm. The woman standing in front of you is someone new. Someone who's done putting herself last. Someone who's done living for you. Ethan, we're done. Go home. Don't come back. I slammed the door in his face before he could say another word, and turned the deadbolt. Outside. Ethan banged on the door and screamed my name. I slid down the door until I was sitting on the floor, burying my face in my knees. This time, I finally cried. Not because I was sad, but because I was saying goodbye to the girl I used to be. The banging and shouting continued for a long time, then slowly faded away until there was silence. I don't know when Ethan left. I just sat there on the cold floor, letting the tears flow freely. When I finally stopped crying and stood up, my legs were numb and tingling. I limped to the window and pulled back the curtain slightly. His car was gone from the street below. He was gone. The realization made me breathe a sigh of relief. But it also left a deeper emptiness in my chest. 5 years of my life, over, in the most humiliating way possible. Over the next few days, I cut all ties with my old life completely. I got a new phone number and snapped my old SIM card in half, throwing it in the trash. I left every group chat that had Ethan in it and deleted all our mutual friends' contact information. I knew it was extreme, but it was a necessary clean break. I needed a completely fresh start to rebuild my life. I started looking for a job. After college, I'd taken a boring, low-paying administrative assistant position so I could have more time to take care of Ethan. Now, I decided to go back to my major interior design. I updated my resume, put together a portfolio of my college work, and started applying online. My days became busy and full. I ran from interview to interview during the day, and at night I came back to my tiny apartment, opened my laptop, and studied the latest design trends and software. I didn't have time to think about Ethan. I didn't have time to be sad. Busy really is the best medicine. A week later, I got an interview at one of the most prestigious design firms in the city. My interviewer was a sharp, professional woman named Sue Thompson. She looked through my portfolio carefully and asked me several very technical questions. I was nervous, but I did my best to explain my ideas and show her what I could do. At the end of the interview, Sue looked at me and said, "Vivian, your technical skills are solid, and your ideas have real creativity. But you've been out of the industry for several years. We need to see your drive and your potential. We have a project right now with a very demanding client and an extremely tight deadline. We want to give you a chance. You'll come on as a junior designer and work on this project. If you prove yourself, we'll hire you permanently. Are you interested?" It was a challenge, but it was also the opportunity I'd been waiting for. I didn't hesitate for a second. "Yes, thank you so much, Sue. I won't let you down." As I walked out of the firm's building, the sun was shining brightly. I took a deep breath, and for the first time in years, I felt truly alive. I had a purpose again, a direction. My life no longer revolved around a man. To celebrate, I went to the biggest mall downtown. I didn't look at any designer bags. I walked straight to the Apple store. With the money I'd saved over the years, I bought myself the top-of-the-line professional design laptop. When I swiped my credit card, I felt a rush of pure, unadulterated joy. Zach had said Ethan would buy me a bag to win me back. But today I realized that earning your own money and buying exactly what you need is a million times better than waiting for someone to give you a handout. As I walked out of the mall holding my new laptop, my phone rang. It was another unknown number. I thought it was another job interview, so I answered. "Hello." There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then a voice I never wanted to hear again said, "Vivian." "It's me." It was Lily. My stomach dropped. How did she get my new number? Then I realized, in this day and age, it's not hard to find someone's contact information if you really want to. "What do you want?" My voice was completely flat. Lily laughed softly on the other end, her voice dripping with smug satisfaction. "Nothing much. I just wanted to chat. I heard you broke up with Ethan and moved out. Your information is very up to date." I replied dryly. "Of course it is. I see Ethan every day. After all, her words were full of triumph. Vivian, I actually admire you. You put up with it for so long. Do you know that 5 years ago, Ethan confessed his feelings to me? We were the couple everyone thought would be together forever. My hand tightened around the phone. I'd heard rumors about this. Apparently Lily had turned Ethan down back then to run off with a rich guy and move abroad. She'd come back a few years later when things didn't work out. And D walked into Ethan's life when he was at his lowest. Are you telling me this to prove that he loved you first? That I was just a rebound? I laughed coldly. Congratulations. You proved it. Now he's all yours. Did you call me to ask for a wedding gift? My bluntness caught her off guard. She paused for a second, then switched to her usual pitiful tone. Vivian, how can you say that? That's not what I meant at all. I just don't want you to get the wrong idea about me. Ethan and I are just friends. He's only ever looked out for me as a junior colleague. Friends. I almost laughed out loud at her pick-me-girl act. Lily. You call him in the middle of the night to bring you medicine. You make him be your personal driver every weekend. You make him skip his own anniversary to pick a splinter out of your finger. And that's just being friends. Your Instagram posts are basically begging everyone to think you're dating. That's not being friends. That's being a pick-me-girl. You can fool Ethan, but you can't fool me. We're both women. I know exactly what you're doing. There was complete silence on the other end. I could almost picture the furious, humiliated look on her face. I don't have time for this. I was done with her games. If you want Ethan so bad, go for it. He's single now. You two are perfect for each other. Just leave me alone. I hope you two are very happy together. Ship M and toss the key into the ocean. I hung up and blocked her number 2. The best way to deal with a pick-me girl is to be direct and not play her games. Any other approach just gives her what she wants. After that little distraction, I took a taxi back to my apartment. New computer, new job, new life. Everything was finally looking up. I set up my new laptop and installed all the design software I needed. Sue sent me the project files soon after. It was a luxury private villa design for a very wealthy client who had extremely high standards. Over the next few weeks, I worked almost non-stop. I learned from the senior designers at the firm during the day, and at night I went home and researched, sketched, and built 3D models. I was like a dry sponge, soaking up knowledge greedily. I was physically exhausted, but mentally I had never felt more fulfilled. The project was going well. Several of my initial designs got positive feedback from Sue and the client. Sue was impressed and started giving me more responsibility. I knew I was close to getting that permanent position. One afternoon, our team was in a project meeting when my phone vibrated. I glanced at it and saw a text from an unknown number. Viv, can we meet? I'm at the coffee shop downstairs from your office. Ethan. He'd found my office. I stared at the text, my emotions swirling. It had been almost a month since we broke up. I thought he'd given up. Sue noticed my pale face and asked, "Everything okay? You don't look well." I shook my head and put my phone away. "I'm fine." Sue, let's continue. The meeting ended around quitting time. My colleagues left in small groups. I sat at my desk, staring out the window at the city lights coming on, debating whether to go down and see him. My head told me no. We were done. There was nothing left to say, but my heart was curious. I wanted to see what he looked like after a month without me. I wanted to know what he had to say. In the end, I grabbed my bag and walked to the elevator. Maybe I needed one final, proper goodbye to close this chapter of my life for good. The coffee shop was almost empty. The lights dimmed low. I spotted Ethan immediately, sitting in the corner booth. He'd lost a lot of weight. His eyes were sunken, and he looked gaunt and exhausted. Nothing like the confident, put-together surgeon I remembered. His coffee was untouched in front of him. He was just staring blankly out the window. I sat down across from him. He finally snapped out of his daze. When he saw me, a flicker of hope crossed his face, then quickly faded. "You came." His voice was hoarse. "What do you want, Ethan?" I got straight to the point. I didn't want to waste any time. He rubbed his hands together nervously, looking uncomfortable. I wanted to apologize. "Vivian, I'm so sorry. I was an idiot. I always thought you'd be there waiting for me, so I took you for granted. I used up your love like it was endless. I didn't realize what I'd lost until you were gone. I sat there silently, listening. If he'd said these words a month ago, I would have cried and forgiven him instantly. But now, my heart was calm. I talked to Lily. I told her we can't see each other anymore. He looked at me, speaking urgently. After you slammed the door that day, I stood in the hallway for hours. I thought about everything. I thought about when we first started dating. You ate street food with me and took the subway with me when I had nothing. You never complained once. I was the one who ruined everything. I went to see Lily and told her that I loved you, and that we couldn't be friends anymore. She didn't take it well. He gave a bitter laugh. She called me an idiot, said you didn't deserve me. That's when I finally saw her for who she really is. Not the sweet, innocent girl I thought she was. I was so blind. I picked up my glass of lemonade and took a sip. So you realized she wasn't as great as you thought, and now you want me back. My bluntness caught him off guard again. That's not what I meant. I just wanted you to know that I know I was wrong. I really do. Vivian, please give me another chance. Let's start over. I promise. My phone will be on 247 for you. All my time is yours. I'll never make you feel second best again. He reached across the table, trying to take my hand. I pulled my hand away. It's too late, Ethan. I looked at him seriously. You can glue a broken vase back together, but the cracks never go away. I don't want to spend the rest of my life waiting for it to break again. And besides, I paused, then continued. I'm happy now. I have a job I love. I have goals. I realized that my world didn't fall apart when you left. It got bigger. I'm used to being alone now, and I actually like it. His hand froze midair. The hope on his face slowly faded into despair. So you're really not going to give me another chance? It's not that I'm not giving you a chance. I'm not giving myself a chance to make the same mistake twice. I stood up. Ethan, thank you for saying all that. At least now I know that those 5 years weren't a complete waste. Take care of yourself. I turned to leave. Vivian, he stood up suddenly, calling after me. Do you have a new boyfriend now? I stopped walking. I didn't turn around. What's it to you? Tell me. His voice was trembling. I was silent for a few seconds, then said, yes. He treats me better than you ever did. 1,000,000 times better. I lied, but I knew it was the only way to make him let go for good. There was silence behind me for a long time. I didn't look back. I walked straight out of the coffee shop. The night air was cool and refreshing. I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. Goodbye, Ethan Carter. Goodbye to my chaotic, turbulent 20s. I didn't go straight home after leaving the coffee shop. I walked aimlessly along the street. Seeing Ethan again had stirred up some old emotions. Not love, just a faint sadness for what could have been. He said he'd seen Lily for who she really was. He said he was sorry. Did I believe him? Maybe, maybe not. But it didn't matter anymore, because I didn't love him anymore. And when love dies, right and wrong don't matter. I walked until I reached a pedestrian overpass. I leaned against the railing, looking down at the river of cars below. The city lights twinkled like 1,000,000 falling stars. My phone rang. It was Sue. Vivian, where are you? We have a small issue with the design. The client has some new ideas. Can you come back to the office? The whole team's here. Sue sounded urgent. Sure, I'll be right there. I immediately perked up. Work pulled me right out of my nostalgic mood. I took a taxi back to the office. The lights were still on, and the whole team was gathered around the conference table, looking tense. The client thinks our second-floor study design is too generic. He wants something more creative and functional. Sue pulled me over as soon as I walked in. You always have the best ideas. What do you think? I looked at the blueprints. The client wanted a space that could be used for working, drinking tea, and meditating. It was definitely a challenge. My mind started racing. All the design cases I'd studied, all the new materials and techniques I'd learned, they all came together in my head. I picked up a pencil and started sketching furiously. We can use a hydraulic lift platform to divide the space. When the platform is down, it's a completely open study. When you lift it up, It becomes a separate Japanese-style tatami space for tea or meditation. We can use acoustic panels on the walls to keep it quiet, and the bookshelves can be built into the walls to save space. I talked and drew at the same time. My ideas flowed faster and faster. All my colleagues gather around to watch. Sue's eyes got brighter and brighter. When I finished the last sketch, I looked up and saw everyone staring at me with admiration. "That's brilliant," one of my colleagues exclaimed. "It solves every single problem, and it looks amazing." Sue clapped me on the back hard. "Vivian, that's perfect. Let's get the renderings done tonight and send them to the client first thing tomorrow morning." "You got it." I nodded enthusiastically. In that moment, I felt a huge rush of pride and accomplishment. It was a feeling I'd never experienced in 5 years with Ethan. Being good at something, being recognized for your hard work, this happiness was real. It lasted. We all stayed late that night. We ordered takeout together and bounced ideas off each other. The atmosphere was electric. I was so immersed in my work that I completely forgot about Ethan. At 3 a.m., we finally finished the renderings that everyone was happy with. Sue announced on the spot, "When this project is done, Vivian, you're getting a permanent position, and double your salary." Everyone cheered. I smiled, but my eyes were wet. I finally understood that when you pour all your love and energy into yourself, life gives you amazing things in return. As we walked out of the office building, the sky was starting to lighten. I yawned and hailed a taxi. As I leaned against the window, watching the city wake up, I thought about that lunch tote I'd thrown in the trash on our anniversary. I used to think that happiness was making slow-cooked beef brisket for the man I loved. Now I know that real happiness is building a beautiful life for yourself with your own 2 hands. The project was a huge success. My multifunctional study design was a hit with the client. He noticed me, the junior designer who'd come up with the idea, during the later stages of the project. He specifically asked for me to handle the design development for several key spaces. With Sue's help and the support of my colleagues, I rose to the challenge and did an excellent job. At the team celebration dinner after the project wrapped up, Sue officially announced that I was being promoted to lead interior designer. That meant I could lead my own projects from now on. I raised my glass and toasted with everyone. Their congratulations and genuine happiness for me made all the late nights worth it. After the dinner, Sue pulled me aside. "Vivian, Mr. Davis, the client was very impressed with you. He's having a private cocktail reception next week for people in the industry. He specifically asked me to bring you. It'll be great for networking." "Thank you so much, Sue. I'll definitely be there." I was grateful beyond words. Sue had given me a chance when no one else would. She was my mentor and my friend. The night of the reception, I wore a simple, elegant dress and did my makeup carefully. When I walked into the venue, I was taken aback by the scale. It was filled with the top designers and business people in Rivertown. I followed Sue around, trying to look calm and confident. Mr. Davis saw us and walked over with a smile. "Sue, so glad you could make it. And this must be Vivian Bennett, the talented young designer who came up with that amazing study concept. You're too kind, Mr. Davis. I still have a lot to learn." I smiled modestly. Just then, I saw someone out of the corner of my eye that made my blood run cold. Ethan. He was wearing a sharp suit, his hair neatly combed, talking to a group of people. He saw me at the same time, and his whole body stiffened. How was he here? Then it hit me. Hospitals often send their top doctors to these kinds of business receptions for networking. I quickly looked away, pretending I hadn't seen him, and continued talking to Mr. Davis and Sue. Sue introduced me to several senior designers, and I listened carefully to their conversations, soaking up every piece of advice. After a while, Sue was pulled away by an old friend. I stood alone in a quiet corner with a glass of juice, trying to avoid Ethan, but of course, he walked straight over to me, holding a glass of champagne. "Fancy seeing you here," he spoke first. "Not really. I was invited," I replied coolly. He looked at me, his eyes complicated. "You've changed a lot. You're more confident. Anne, you're glowing." People change when they start living for themselves. I didn't want to talk to him any longer. "So, that boyfriend of yours, he didn't come with you?" He just had to ask. I was about to make up an excuse when a warm voice spoke from beside me. Her boyfriend's right here. I just had to take a quick phone call. I turned around in surprise. Mr. Davis was standing next to me. He winked at me, then smiled politely at Ethan. And you are? Ethan's face turned pale. He looked at Mr. Davis, then at me, his mouth opening and closing but no words coming out. Mr. Davis put his arm around my shoulders gentlemanly, but possessive. I'm Will Davis, Vivian's boyfriend, and you are? I'm her ex-boyfriend. He forced the words out. Mr. Davis raised an eyebrow, a knowing smile on his face. Oh. The ex-boyfriend. Thanks for not appreciating her back then. That's how I got my chance. But don't worry, I'll take good care of her from now on. You don't have to worry about her anymore. With that, he turned to me, his voice softening. Come on. Let me introduce you to some people. I nodded and followed him away. I didn't look back, but I could feel Ethan's eyes burning into my back. When we were safely across the room, I whispered to Mr. Davis, thank you so much for that. Mr. Davis. He laughed and dropped his arm from my shoulders. No problem at all. I could tell you didn't want to talk to him. A woman as talented and beautiful as you shouldn't be held back by the past. He paused, then added, although, what I said wasn't entirely a lie. Vivian. I really do admire you. A lot. I was wondering if I could turn this fake boyfriend thing into something real. I looked into his sincere eyes and froze. My heart, which had been quiet for so long, skipped a beat. I smiled. Not a polite, distant smile. A real, bright, happy smile. Maybe we could start with dinner first. Life has a funny way of closing one door and opening another. And love, it's always there, waiting for you. You just have to be ready to let it in.